Hi, and welcome to another edition of Mysteries of the Superstition Mountains, and we have a goodie today because we're talking with prominent historian Bob Bowes-Bell. Here's a question for you. Was Geronimo ever really in the superstitions?
Well, I think Geronimo ranged far and wide. I think he was all over the state. In fact, here's a story.
Okay.
So he's deep in the Sierra Madres, and he's 40 years old. And he gets up one day and said, I've always wanted to see the ocean. And so him and some other warriors start running from the Sierra Madre to basically where a rocky point is. They ran out there, and they looked and went, oh, there's the ocean, and they ran back. These guys were amazing, the ground that they covered. So that story comes from a kid who was on What's My Line, and he was raised with the Apaches and lived into the 1950s. And he told that story. I believe it. I think it's true. Because their ability to outrun the U.S. Army. See, the U.S. Army could do about 22 miles a day on horseback, okay? Well, an Apache can run 75 miles. And so what they would do is the Army would be coming down a valley, and you could see them for 10 miles away. You could see the dust, and so the Apaches would be in a valley, and they would make a feint to go up one side of the Chiricahuas, and if the Army followed them, they'd just go the other way and run over the mountain range and be 2 mountain ranges away by the time the Army got to where they last saw them. So that, Crook was absolutely correct. The only way you can catch an Apache is with another Apache. You're not going to catch him on horseback. You're not going to catch him with a train. You're not going to catch him. These guys were formidable foes.
What about the story about the massacre up in the Superstition Mountains? What's the truth to that?
I'm not familiar with the specifics of it, but there's so many massacres in so many directions, it's not even funny. I mean, there's so many people died. I'm watching Game of Thrones, and sometimes I have to grimace and go, well, this is a fantasy and it's not really true, but, well, read Arizona history, because there's, scalp hunters wiping out entire villages. The Apaches themselves. In fact, Geronimo gets his name because they're attacking a Mexican village and they're sparing no one. They're killing everyone in the village, okay? And the soldiers are so afraid after the battle because this one Apache keeps jumping over the lines and going and cutting people's throats, and they keep invoking San Jerome. And so late at night, this is my theory, late at night they're around the campfire laughing about, and everybody's dead in the village, okay? And they're laughing about the day and how you did this and that. And then one of the Apaches goes, oh, San Jerome, San Jerome. And they go, you're San Jerome. And then the Americans come in and they flatten all the vowels and everything, and they turn that into Geronimo. It's Geronimo is technically. And on one of the placards in Washington, D.C., it says, hey, Geronimo, because it hadn't been Americanized yet with the German thing. So he's named for a saint that was invoked while he was killing someone. Smoke that in your pipe.
I get this question all the time, so I'm going to ask you. What do you think about the story of the Dutchman in the Superstition Mountains?
And there are legends that coalesce, and it's almost like a dust storm, or it's almost like a airborne, germs or something, and they settle on a place. And if it has a great name, Weaver's Needle, Superstitions, I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that. And I mean, especially when you compare that to San Francisco Peak, Wallapies, the Whetstones, no. The Superstition Mountains, are you kidding me? Yes, I want to believe that. That's a great story right there. The name. I think the names are 90% of everything. You know that Wyatt Earp, Crazy Horse, General George Armstrong Custer, Geronimo, okay? These are names that are just magic. Now what's amazing is not everybody in the Old West had a great name. Those are the names we remember. And I, for a while, if I was reading a newspaper item about something and doing some research, and I would find a name of an outlaw, I would write it down. And I got a whole list of names of guys who just thought, they thought they had the greatest moniker was going to last for a century. And they were names like Beanbelly Smith, the Pockmarked Kid, okay? My favorite one, and I'm not making this up, Bad Bladder Allen. You imagine you're in a bank with him and he's like, wait, Bad Bladder. till we get out of the bank. It's funny how fame does that. Fame misses people, other people, and then picks up people that you wouldn't even think of. You know what I mean? And I'm sure people are thinking about that in Kingman, where that grew up with me, and they're going, "That's the guy from Kingman who ran the bases backward, and we called him Bozo, and they showed it to Bob Bo's Bell. He's the guy from Kingman? Are you kidding? We hated that little twerp." You know, that's how legends happen.
And that's not a legend. That's.
Oh, it's legend.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, we'd like to thank True West Magazine's Bob Bosbell for sharing his thoughts and stories about the history of the area. Mysteries of the Superstition Mountains. See you next time.